Júnior pra gente comunicar aqui.
Ok, tá bom, Val.
O Lama achou dia 28 de maio?
Já entrei. Good morning.
Ok.
Okay, bye-bye.
Tchau, Lama.
Ciao. Sorry about that. You know what happened this morning is we have a list of all of our broadcasts. I clicked on the wrong date. So I had been speaking for 6 minutes to a future group of people for next week on the wrong link. Then Val called me. She said, Lama, where are you? Everybody's waiting on this other link. So I closed the other one and I quickly opened this one. So sorry about the confusion. I didn't know I clicked on the wrong date. So anyway, here we are. I hope everybody's well. Good morning. Thanks for coming this morning. As you can see, we have a different scenario here today because we're in Florianopolis at the Gonpa here in Florianopolis in this beautiful, they call bamboozal. It's just a beautiful little house and a beautiful little closed condominium with birds and little monkeys and beautiful paradise of Florianopolis. I hope everybody's well. Thanks for coming this morning. We haven't been here for 2 years and 3 months. So it feels wonderful to be back, and we're looking forward to seeing all of our friends and Dharma family members here in Florianopolis. So, like that, I received a request to make some comments about the school shooting that occurred in Texas 2 or 3 days ago. And that's a really, really sad and tragic situation. And it's not just this one isolated incident. There's just been so many. It's like every week there's a school shooting or a shooting at a shopping mall, or even here where we currently are in Brazil. Also last week, the police went into one of the suburbs of a major city. I think it was Rio de Janeiro, and there was a shootout with drug dealers and 23 people died. Now, I think that of those 23 people, 10 of them were just innocent bystanders. So gun violence is a terrible, terrible problem in the United States, here in Brazil, in many other countries. So how do we see that? How do we understand that from a Buddhist point of view? Well, this is where sort of we say like the rubber hits the road, I think. Like if you're really going to look at this from a Buddhist point of view, this is the kind of situation where you might not like or even accept certain aspects of the answer. So let's start with that part, and then we'll move on to some other perspectives. But by Buddhist teachings, we understand everything that happens because of causes and conditions. Nothing can happen without a pre-existing cause and the right conditions coming together for that event to occur. The Buddha would often give examples of that through the natural world. He would say, if there's a seed for, let's say, a peach tree, that you don't see the peach tree in the seed. But no matter what, that seed will not give anything else except for a peach tree. You're not going to get an apple tree or a pear tree. You're going to get a peach tree. But also the causes and conditions have to come together. The right type of soil, the right amount of humidity, the right temperature, the right time of the year. When all those causes and conditions come together, that seed will ripen and grow into a peach tree. It can't grow into anything else. So, from this perspective, anything that happens in this world happens because there was some seed planted in the past that now the conditions have come together for that seed to ripen. So applying that to the situation that happened in Texas, in Uvalde, somehow those beautiful, apparently innocent little children, so bright, with such wonderful futures ahead of them, at some point in some past life, had some kind of karmic debt to die at a young age. It's terribly difficult for us to understand that and to accept that, because they are so innocent and so full of life and so beautiful. But by Buddhist teachings, they could not have gone through such a situation if there was not a karmic seed that had been planted. Now, it could have been thousands of lifetimes ago. Even our great lineage master, Dudjom Rinpoche, he died last month at 30 years old. He was in perfect health. He went to bed and he didn't wake up. He'd never been sick a day in his life. Even Buddha Shakyamuni died from eating a poisonous mushroom. Some say poisonous pork. Even a Buddha, he still had some sort of slight, faint karma to die eating rotten food. So we have a limited perspective. We don't see all the past lives. We don't see all the karmic web and connections of things that come together. If we did, things would make complete sense to us. Within the realm of the law of karma, everything's perfect. On the relative level, it's horrible. And we can't understand it. And we feel sad and we feel revolted and we feel angry. But for a Buddha whose wisdom eye is open, nothing can occur outside of the law of cause and effect. That doesn't mean that it makes us less sad. It's terribly sad. It's sad for all the families whose lives are ruined. It's sad for the shooter's family who also loses their son. The shooter himself, we can't even imagine the horrific experience he's going to go through for an incalculable amount of time. And again, in Buddhist teachings, we cultivate compassion for all of them, every single one of them, families, victims, the shooter, the shooter's family. We try to expand our heart and have compassion for everyone involved. And also pray for all of them that they can have auspicious rebirths, that they can hear the teachings on the law of cause and effect, that they can do practices to purify their negative karma, to hopefully avoid any kind of situation like this in the future, in future lifetimes. In the Buddhist teachings, he talks about when people have created tremendous non-virtue and they're born in the lower realms. A lot of times after they've burned off this negative karma through the suffering of the lower realms, they'll be reborn again in the human realm. But the Buddhist says that many times as they're being born in the human realm, they'll die in their mother's womb, or they'll die as they're born, or they will die still as babies. Because they're still burning off the negative karma of having done extremely negative deeds, of taking other people's lives in previous lifetime. Not just people, but animals and insects, taking others' lives is what creates the karmic cause to have your life taken away from you prematurely. So we who are on the other side of this equation, watching a child be born and die immediately after being born, we can shake our fist at the sky and say, God, this is unfair. How can God take the life of an innocent baby? But as Buddhists, we need to understand this baby had a story before he or she was born. Many stories, countless lifetimes. Can you imagine what we've done in countless lifetimes? How many lives we've taken? How many times we've hunted? How many times we've waged war? How many times we've killed wasps' nests or poisoned cockroaches or slapped mosquitoes? So this innocent baby dies as a karmic consequence of taking lives in previous lifetimes. So this is very challenging to our Buddhist beliefs. Are you really going to buy into the law of karma? Or is this where the rubber hits the road? You can't go there. You can't accept that. Then you have to go back to the God argument, that God is killing little babies for no reason. Or you have to go to the atheist argument that everything happens for no reason. But one thing for sure, karma explains everything. If you want an answer to everything, karma is your best bet. However, we might not like the answers we receive. That's the hard part about it. Because our minds are limited and trapped in this small relative reality that we experience. We don't see the big picture. Then, on the relative level, of course, we need to debate things like gun laws, school safety. What about video games? How many of these young boys are spending hours and hours a day killing imaginary people and imaginary monsters on their video screens, their computer screens? We know that the mind is extremely trainable. If you're training your mind all day to shoot people and shoot things, at some point you want a real gun. You're not satisfied with imaginary guns. You want the real thing in your hands. And then you want the experience of really killing somebody in real life. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So people don't want to criticize it, politicians. And same thing with guns. Why does anybody need a sub-automatic weapon? I can't think of any good reason unless you're going to war. And of course, war is not a good reason, because war is just a combination of every kind of negative emotion and thought you can imagine. But this is samsara. This is not a perfect realm. And ultimately, the problem behind these shootings, and we go back to it again and again as Buddhists, are the 5 poisons of the mind. As Buddhists, that's where our answers lie, in the mind. And we have to start changing the world, changing ourselves. Changing ourselves, maybe we can get to the point we can help some other people change themselves. And they can get to the point that they can help some other people change themselves. That's where it's really going to happen. Creating more laws, banning more weapons, closing down more schools, having teachers with guns, all of those things need to be debated, but they're never going to get to the root of the problem. which is why are these young people wanting to kill themselves and take dozens of other people with them? They need psychiatric help, they need psychological help, and they need spiritual help. And maybe some of you that are profoundly moved by these situations, maybe take advantage of that and make aspirations. May I become enlightened so that I can guide these young people that are so confused out of their confusion and violence and hatred to the state of enlightened beings. Because that's the ultimate answer. They need to be guided out of the lower realms of their thoughts and negative emotions. And work on the relative level. Try to pass some gun control laws. Try to increase security at schools. All of those things are good and probably will make a little bit of a difference on the relative level. But once again, if you have karma to be gunned down, it'll find you sooner or later, unless you purify those causes of karma through purification practices, such as Vajrasattva, such as any spiritual practice. You're purifying negative karma. So those are my very quickly formulated thoughts, trying to make sense out of a very, very disturbing and confusing situation. But just to recapitulate, this is a chance to deepen our understanding of karma, causes and conditions. This is a chance to awaken greater compassion and to try to work on the relative level to make this situation better without losing our minds in arguments and hatred, which is just going to add to the problem. We need to stay calm and centered when we're debating these issues. I saw one person, a famous American movie star named Bette Midler. There was going to be a gun. They call the NRA, National Rifle Association. It's a gun rights group. So they were going to have a big meeting, coincidentally, a few days after this last shooting, and also in Texas where the shooting occurred. So Bette Midler told the protesters, everybody needs to go to the NRA meeting and protest, but this time bring guns. That's an example of letting your emotions rule over staying calm and centered. So you want to protest against people that want to have guns by going there and threatening them with guns. That's just a perfect example of samsara. How's that ever going to solve any problems? Well, if they won't change, then we'll take guns there and shoot them all. That's not going to solve anything, right? That's just throwing more fuel on the fire. So when we get into these issues, stay calm. Remember your Buddhist values. Remember that more violence never reduces violence. More hatred never reduces hatred. More intolerance never reduces intolerance. And finally, create aspirations that the ultimate solution is we become free. We know how we became free, and we help others become free. That is truly great. Delivering people from the confusion of their own negative emotions, taking them to liberty and freedom. That is really great. That is really a solution. Starting with ourselves. So, our method of doing that this morning is our red TARE practice. So please join me reciting the 7-line prayer. Origin, Eugene, Nojan, San, Pema, Gesar, Dompola, Yatsin, Jogi, Modrone, Pema, Jone, Jesodra, Cordo, Cadro, Mampecor, Cheche, Jeso, Dadro, Chi, Jinji, Lapchi, Jeso, So, Guru Pema Siddhi Om Origin Yujin Nojan San Pema Gesar Dompo La Yatsin Chogi Modrobne Pema Jungne Jesodra Gordo Kadro Mampe Kor Cheche Jeso Dadro Chi Jinji Labji Jeso So Guru Pema Siddhi Om Origin Yujin Nojan San Pema Gesar Dompo La Yatsin Jogi Modrobne Pema Jungne Jesodra Gordo Kadro Mampe Kor Chechi Jeso Dadro Chi Jinji Labji Jeso So Guru Pema Siddhi Om. In the space in front of me, the mother of all the victorious ones, Arya Tara, actually appears, and to her I pray. Now, as I and countless others are lost in the ocean of samsaric suffering, I seek Buddhahood to gain temporary and ultimate happiness for myself and all living beings. For this reason, I take refuge in Arya Tara, embodiment of pure awareness, inseparable from all perfect qualities of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Lama, Yidam, and Dakini. Now, as I and countless others are lost in the ocean of samsaric suffering, I seek Buddhahood to gain temporary and ultimate happiness for myself and all living beings. For this reason, I take refuge in Arya Tara, embodiment of pure awareness, inseparable from all perfect qualities of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Lama, Yidam, and Dakini. Now, as I and countless others are lost in the ocean of samsaric suffering, I seek Buddhahood to gain temporary and ultimate happiness for myself and all living beings. For this reason, I take refuge in Arya Tara, embodiment of pure awareness, inseparable from all perfect qualities of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Lama, Yidam, and Dakini. From the depths of my heart I pray, evoking from Tara's forehead, throat, and heart, a brilliant surge of rainbow light. As the light rays touch me and all other beings, the poisonous fruits of negative karma, sickness, demonic afflictions, and obstacles, evaporate like dew in the morning sun. Merit, wisdom, glory, wealth, and longevity increase beyond measure. Illustrious Tara, please be aware of me, remove my obstacles, and quickly grant my excellent aspirations. So we pray for the long life and removal of obstacles of His Holiness Soksyi Rinpoche, Chugyi Rinpoche, Yola, Lama Norbu, Anna Lisa's father, Susie, Chuck, Anne, Ed, Jose Marie, Josie's mother, Tem's mother, Tanya Maria Teixeira de Mello, Maria Nazaré, Mateus Alonso, Marcos e Lourdes Pires Guilhão, Liliane's granddaughter, Marcos Alberto Suarez, Pedro Henrique de Silva, Carlinhos, Mateus Henrique Moreira, Cidinha, Cecília, Ana Maria, Amanda, Santiago Cerda, Edileuza, Diego, Lauro Furuta, Fernando, Roberto, José Luca and her father, Renata, Bellini, Eloá, Vinicius, Lourdes, Lorena Bastos, Blanca, Marlene Antunes, José, and Sir Mario. Jetsampa Madroma Checheno, Gachen Gonzal Zanda Yudrozo, 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 Chetsamba Madroma Checheno Gachen Gunzel Samda Yudruzo 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 Chetsamba Madroma Checheno Gachen Gunzel Zana 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 Yudruzo Chetsamba Madroma Checheno Gachen Gunzel Zandan Yudrozo Om Dari Tam Soha Om Dari Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Dari Tam Soha Om Dari Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Dari Tam Soha Om Dari Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Dari Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Dari Tam Soha Om Dari Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Tare Tam Soha Om Ahum. The 3,000-fold universe, Mount Meru, the four continents, the minor continents, and the splendor and glory of gods, nagas, and humans, together with their roots of virtue, are emanated as vast and extensive clouds of perfectly pure offerings. I offer them to Tara, mother of the victorious ones. Tram, Guru Ratna, Mandala, Idam, Yami. By the power of having prayed thus from the heart, may the enlightened mind be mastered and appearances perceived purely as the deity's body. May the meaning of the developing completion stages be naturally internalized. May conditions inauspicious to the perfect path be pacified, and all conceivable auspicious conditions and aspirations be fulfilled. May the stains and obscurations of non-virtue be cleansed, and harm from other beings and bad dreams be averted. Grant the blessing of protection from the fear of lower existences. May rebirth not occur in the 8 states devoid of leisure practice. May all lifetimes be remembered and faculties be clear. May discipline be pure and the mind attend to Dharma. From the ripening of karma caused by delusion, grant the blessing that shields, protects, and conceals. May the malignancy of enemies, demons, and ghostly interferences, the harmful effects of untimely death, epidemics, and illnesses caused by poisons, all be pacified and purified, and may the wisdom and activities of Tara be revealed. Om Ahum. In the pure realm of the victorious ones, the spontaneous presence of the 3 kayas, is she who gives birth to victorious ones of the 3 times, a cloud of inexhaustible bliss of the 3 secrets. I bow to you, O sublime guide of the 3 realms of existence. From now until I reach enlightenment, I will rely on you as my sole source of refuge and protection. In accordance with your former aspirations and commitments, do not waver in your compassion. Fully bestow on me your powers, blessings, and cities. Whosoever sees me, hears me, touches me, or remembers me, by these 4 means of liberation and by the most sublime city, may I be capable of freeing all those connected to me, and may my attainment become equal to yours. Without relying on the power of magnetizing, how could one gain the necessary qualities to care for others? May I influence all those to be tamed, positive and negative without exception, by inspiring in them the 4 kinds of devotion. Furthermore, Upon mastering positive qualities within a state of liberation, may all beings quickly attain the actual form of the victorious ones, resplendent with the major and minor marks of perfection. Until such time, may we be free from the 8 great fears and from malevolent influences. May such favorable qualities as longevity, glory, and excellence flourish. May the yogas of the 2 stages be mastered, and may we be free from obstacles. In all countries, may disease, war, and famine be pacified. May all beings have bliss, happiness, and engage in the Dharma. May the Buddhist teachings be propagated, and may all beings come under the guidance of Tara, Mother of the victorious ones. In all countries, may disease, war, and famine be pacified. May all beings have bliss, happiness, and engage in the Dharma. May the Buddhist teachings be propagated, and may all beings come under the guidance of Tara, Mother of the victorious ones. In all countries, may disease, war, and famine be pacified. May all beings have bliss, happiness, and engage in the Dharma. May the Buddhist teachings be propagated, and may all beings come under the guidance of Tara, Mother of the victorious ones. Attachment to ordinary appearance and clinging to my corporeal form subside. From the space of emptiness, my mind's natural awareness spontaneously appears as the brilliant red seed syllable Tam. Instantly, Tam transforms into the luminous form of the noble Tara. She is smiling and exceedingly beautiful. Her right hand is in the gesture of supreme generosity and holds a long life face. Her left hand is in the gesture of the 3 jewels and holds a red Utpala flower by the stem. Within the petals of the flower are a fully drawn bow and arrow made of delicate flowers. Her garments are made of exquisite silk and draped perfectly in graceful folds. She wears wish-fulfilling jewels and splendid ornaments, as well as a garland of lotus flowers. Half of her hair is in a knot at the crown of her head, half flows down her back. She sits in the posture of royal ease on a sun disk resting on a red lotus. A full moon appears behind her. The Buddha Amitabha sits on a lotus above her head. She is ruby red. Her glorious rainbow light radiance fills an infinite sphere. On a red lotus and sun disk in her heart, the seed syllable Tam is encircled by the mantra mala. As the mantra is recited, the mantra mala begins to revolve. Radiating light from the mala forms an offering to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. Returned as wisdom blessings, the light is reabsorbed. Then light radiates again to the beings of the 6 realms, dissolving all suffering and transforming everything into the pure phenomena of Tara's pure land. Om Tare Tam Soha. Tam Soha. From Tara's heart, rainbow light shines forth throughout the 6 realms in the bardo, enveloping the deceased ones wherever they are, purifying their karma and infusing them with Tara's radiant blessing. Their forms become brilliant spheres of light and dissolve into Tara's heart mind, a realm beyond the cycles of suffering, a realm of absolute purity and bliss. SOHA. So we pray for the following deceased: Bolo, Uzi, all the victims of the shooting in Uvalde, Texas, all the victims of the shooting in Rio de Janeiro, and also the perpetrator of the shooting in Texas, and all the victims of war in Ukraine, and all the victims of senseless violence. SOHA. TARE's form dissolves into the natural sphere of emptiness. Ah, ah, ah. Then you reappear spontaneously in the form of Tara. Appearances are perceived purely as the body of the deity, sounds as the speech of the deity, and thoughts as the mind of the deity. This perception of pure phenomena is held as extensively as possible throughout the day. Throughout my many lives and until this moment, whatever virtue I have accomplished, including the merit generated by this practice, and all that I will ever attain, this I offer for the welfare of sentient beings. May sickness, war, famine, and suffering be decreased for every being, while their wisdom and compassion increase in this and every future life. May I clearly perceive all experiences to be as insubstantial as the dream fabric of the night, and instantly awaken to perceive the pure wisdom display in the arising of every phenomenon. May I quickly attain enlightenment in order to work ceaselessly for the liberation of all sentient beings. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas altogether, whatever kind of motivation you have, whatever kind of beneficial action, whatever kind of wishing prayers, whatever kind of omniscience, whatever kind of life accomplishment, whatever kind of benevolent power, and whatever kind of immense wisdom you have, then similarly I, who have come in the same way to benefit beings, pray to attain these qualities. At this very moment, for the peoples and the nations of the earth, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. Rather, may their moral conduct, merit, wealth, and prosperity increase, and may supreme good fortune and well-being always rise for them. Chime kunye pema zambava zazan rabjan jenzen opaye garji wancho joge tropeko koson de chen seten tar chin sho chime kunye pema zambava zazan rabjan jenzen opaye garji wancho joge tropeko koson de chen seten tar chin sho Chime kunye pema sambhava sasan rabjan jensen upayi karje wancho choge tropeko koson de chen seten tar chin sho penden jewe neche bo tempa yunre nepa dan tempa zimbe jepona koson jaltsen danger chi Ken lo joson rin lo che samlin sason chapar bel Rodro joson nawadan mirado son gele sho. May bodhicitta sublime and precious arise where it has not yet arisen, and where it has already arisen, may it continue to grow and become more and more stable. More and more bodhicitta, more and more stable. That's what this world needs. More bodhicitta. That's the answer. Have a great weekend.